Rest of your all right, you've been notified. You're being recorded. Okay. So again, my name is Rachel Richards. I am a certified Optavia health coach. I am a client. I am on my journey. I am in the optimization phase of our program, which is again, we have those three phases, right? We have induction, which is science, a lot of science. We're doing precise fat burning, we're healing, we're doing a head to toe detox. We're stepping away from habits and foods that do not service our goals or desires. And we're relearning and unlearning a lot of things that have not served us up to this point. So that's the inductive phase of our program. Our second phase of program is transition, where we start slowly reintroducing foods that are healthy, but they were off limits in inductive science because they didn't serve the mission. Even if they were healthy, there are a lot of healthy foods that we don't eat in phase one because they don't serve the science. And so the whole goal of this call is to give you guys science that supports what you're doing so that you no longer have to be unnecessarily frustrated with things that you're going like, I don't understand. I don't understand why I'm doing all these things and nothing is moving the needle. Or if it does, it doesn't stick, right? How many of you have been there where you've created something really cool in your health, but you didn't really know how it happened? And so therefore you can't really keep it and you can't replicate it because you weren't really sure because it was like in a bottle or it had these things and you never really understood the science behind it. So we're not that program. Our program is empowerment, education, equipping, and we move out of these the heavy dependence on the fuelings is in phase one. Okay, but in phase two, we start using other principles and we're no longer trying to lose weight. So we're using more food of our own. And then finally in third phase, you're using the fuelings as a convenience option. So I like to kind of give you guys that if you're new to the call and you're like, gosh, I didn't even know about the three phases or all of that. That is really important for you to know. And then there's different science that supports each phase. And so today we're talking in the 2.11 of our Habits of Health book. We also are going to use element 17 of the life book. And don't worry if you're like, well, I didn't read that and I don't have that ready to go. That's okay. I'm hoping to show you the connection in your transformational systems, that these systems, they were designed to give you habit reform and they work together. One is more mindset, life book is more like theory or what mindset do I have to receive the skill set that I want to develop and get into action continually until it creates a new neural pathway. So do you guys realize that we're using the science of habit reform all through this program and that it will be superior to any amount of willpower that you could muster up on your own because a neural pathway is stronger than willpower, okay? It takes over actually when willpower is weak, and willpower can be weak often. So 17 of Life book, section 2.11 of your Habits of Health book, we are going to get into both of those today and refer in and through them. And if you want to read element 17 after this call, that would be awesome because it will reinforce more of what you're learning. And there's some really neat things you guys can photocopy. I was looking in there today and we're going to teach you guys how to become neat freaks. Okay. So a neat freak is somebody that understands that it's not what we do occasionally in a gym that's going to transform our metabolism and our function in terms of metabolic function, but it's more what we do every day that is going to transform our ability to be a fat burning machine, a perpetual motion machine. And that is going to raise your thermal energy expenditure. And I'm going to get into that as a refresher today because these elements, they all work together. Okay. So if you don't know the numbers, you can't change the story. I'll say that again. If you don't know the numbers, you can't change the story. We need the numbers tell a story. So we need to make sure that we understand that algebraic equation of like, how does my body work again? And why have I been so frustrated? Oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense is what we hear from people that are doing the work in the books. Okay. If you're not doing the work in the books, you're going to be a little more confused, and you're probably going to have a little more delay in achieving your goals. So I want to give you a high level mindset today. Okay. We're going to do mindset, skill set, action. And the mindset that I want you to entertain is, what would it be like to create your health and really create a life that serves you instead of responding to things that don't? So what I mean by that is this whole mission from Dr. A. He would say, all I want to do is help you design a life that matters most to you. Not to me, not to your coach. We want to help you design a life that matters most to you. And so in his big rocks, where he talks in the life book, where it's like family and faith and work and all of these things, you know, or actually, those are the things that we say are the big rocks. He's saying you'll never show up well if you don't have the big rocks of health, right? The macro habits of sleep and eating healthy and walking and moving your body, that even though you're saying that family and faith and work and these things are the most important things, if we don't put these habits in place, those things will never be true. And that was a really hard thing for me to hear, because I was like, no, I definitely want those things, but I didn't realize how my habits were actually flying in the face of that. Okay. So we're going to unpack that. So today, your mindset, I want to take you to creation instead of avoidance. Okay. And avoidance mindset is a scarcity mindset. It's like, I have to avoid cookies and candy. I can't look at that. I'm on a diet. I'm not allowed to have that on my diet. We want to get rid of that kind of speech. And we want to talk about creating things that matter the most to you in your life. Okay. So that's our mindset today. Our skill set that we need to learn is the science that supports the goals that we have. So do you know what your thermal energy expenditure is? Probably not. The books tell us that. And then from there, do you know how to influence it? So you know that you're not a tree, right? You can move and you can change, and your brain is neuroplastic. So we can change the outcome in many of these areas. I know from being a health coach for 4 years now that what I hear from people on health assessments is, it's just my genetics. This is run in my family for a long time. And then we look at putting them in a situation where we're looking at their TEE and we're putting together a plan that works, and all of a sudden their genetics change, where it's like, oh my gosh, they're the only one in their family now that's at a very healthy BMI. How did they defy those genetics? Like, it's not always the things that we believe. And so we're going to challenge that today with science, and we're going to give you the skill set to be able to do that. All right. So first thing I want you to do, if you've got a pen and paper, is write down your current weight. Okay, we're going to learn our TEE today. This is a skill for you, and you're going to need to know how to do this every time your weight changes. This will change. So let me say that again. Every time your weight changes, your TEE changes, because it goes down. This is the, how many of you, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever wanted to know, I just want to know how many calories I'm allowed to have without gaining weight. If I could just know that number, that'd be really cool. Like, have you ever thought that? Right. Me too. I was like, gosh, this feels like, cracking the code. So take your weight. And if you've got your phone, really easy way to do this, just go to your calculator. Go ahead and get your calculator out. And we'll do this together, and it'll take some repetition. Some of you are visual, some of you are auditory, some of you are kinetic. I'm going to try to get to all three on the call. So I'm going to take my weight. Okay, I'm putting it in. So here I go. Weight is in. Now I'm going to multiply it by one of 3 choices. This is where you got to really think, and we're going to dig in today. Are you mostly sedentary? Okay, where what I mean is, I'm not asking if you go to the gym 3 days a week. I'm asking about the other 98% of your week. Are you sitting on Zooms? Are you in a classroom where you have to sit? Are you in a job where you have to sit? If that's true, you are mostly sedentary, okay? Outside of those spurts of activity at the gym, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for non-exercise activated thermogenesis, okay? Neat freaks. We're gonna be neat freaks. So if you're not active, you're gonna multiply it by 1.0. If you're active, 10,000 steps a day is normal for you. Like Dr. A says on page 373, that we should be taking about 10,000 steps a day. Okay. That's not like, that's how our bodies were made. They were made to be hunters, gatherers. We had to walk to get the food, all of those things. So if you're like, yeah, that's me, I'm 10,000 steps a day and I do a little bit of moving and I don't sit that much, but I do sit, then you're going to be times 1.2. Okay. So it's weight times 1.0 if you're sedentary, 1.2 if you're active and you have a little bit of exercise in there. Okay. Now, if you're like an athlete, it goes up from there. But for sake of today, let's go ahead and multiply it by 1.0 or 1.2, because if you're on the 5 and 1 in phase 1, we shouldn't be behaving like an athlete right now. Okay, that's later. It's coming. Like, we are not pushing out couch potatoes, quite the opposite. So what is that number? So your weight times 1.2 for me, okay? And then we're going to, I'm sorry, I messed up, you guys. Forgive me. It's your weight times 11. Okay, weight times 11. Get that number. Now that is times 1.0 or 1.2. Okay, so for me, it's telling me that I have 1,636 calories that I can have a day. And if I do, I won't gain. And if I go below that, I could be in a loss cycle. Okay. But on fat burn, on the 5 and 1, we are doing all this science for you. But I want to show you in connection today with how this works with our TEE. Okay, so if we don't know our thermal energy expenditure, you're not going to understand the NEAT and the EAT and how they work together, because you're looking to influence your TEE. Okay, if anybody is not tracking with me, this is family, so you're not being judged. I learn in different ways. If anyone's like, I'm so lost right now, just take yourself off mute and tell me the part where I lost you, because I really do care if you're lost and I want to help you. Or if there's any clarification, please ask. Okay. If not, I'm going to keep going. All right. So look at your number and now you're like, well, I'm on the 5 and 1.
Hey, Rach.
Yes, Crystal.
Sorry, it's Crystal. Yeah, I saw somebody trying to talk. I don't know if she knows how to come off mute. I can't see who it was. Let me see. Barbara Kimball, I believe.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. The second number, the 1 point, I'm doing 1.0 because I'm only up to about 5,000, 6,000 steps a day. So do I multiply that by that 1.0 or do I divide by that? Because that looks like a really huge number.
No, so it's going to be your weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Times 11.
Times 11 times
Right.
times 1.0.
Oh, it is times. So I did it correctly.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So that, do you mind sharing your number?
It would be, I'm down to 211 now until tomorrow when I weigh, and hopefully you're down even more.
Okay.
But it came out to be, let's see, 2,311.
Okay. So what this is telling you is your program potential. Okay. If you're on a 5 and 1 and you do not have any bites, licks, taste of anything that is not outside of the science, you drink that water, you take those 5,000, 6,000 steps a day, you get your sleep, because we burn more fat when we're sleeping than we do when we're awake. All of that is telling you your program potential, and this is not always true, but I'll give it to you, 2,311 minus the 950 we eat on plan is 1,361 calories that we have a deficit. And we look at that. Okay, so now how much calories does it take to burn 1 pound of fat? Does anybody know the number of calories it takes to lose a pound of fat?
It's about 1,000, 100,
3,500 calories.
3,500.
So what that says is if you've got that deficit each day, right, of looking at that 950 minus the 2311, 1361 divided by 3,500 calories to lose a pound, right? So we go 3,500 divided by 1361. Every 3 days, you should be losing a pound of fat potentially, okay? So
Okay.
that's your program potential. Now, if you see your program potential drop, then you know, ooh, maybe I've had bite, slicks, or taste. Maybe my water was not where it needed to be. Maybe I was sedentary more than I thought. Maybe my sleep was choppy. Maybe my lean and green wasn't measured out. You guys are going to learn the levers to pull to see your body and how it can heal. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears to the material in 211, but I wanted to show you guys, why are we talking about NEAT if we don't understand our TEE, right? You're gonna have a hard time connecting it. But look at what Dr. A is saying. He's saying that you can influence your thermal energy expenditure just by becoming more active, not at the gym, but a perpetual motion machine, because the gym has its own implications. Like, definitely it's good. We respect that. We want that. I go to the gym. We're not poo-pooing the gym. But we're saying that those occasional activities, they have afterburn, they make you hungry. You're going to have a harder time creating a caloric deficit if you do those extreme workouts. And that's why we discourage them on 5 and 1, because we're trying to burn fat. So with that, let's kind of move on to being a NEAT freak and looking at the ways that you can become a perpetual motion machine. We've talked a lot about these in some of the former calls, but I want to give you guys some things that you can do. So on page 339 of your life book, it says that you can do some things at home, like making your bed, manually brushing your teeth, using a shaker jar. Everything that we automate has taken away from us. And I want you to think about the fatal conveniences that we have now that are disrupting our ability to be a perpetual motion machine. We don't walk to work. We don't walk to school. I was looking at a study, and I want to give this to you guys. Children are playing outside a total of 4 hours a week when their parents were playing outside an average of 8.2 hours a week when they were children. So our children are half as active as we were, and it's not helping them. Do you see why our nation is becoming, even though we are the most neat, we are eat freaks, right? We do marathons, Ragnars, like, oh my gosh, rock and roll marathons. We do this, we do the Murph, like, oh yeah, let's go, all the extremes. But why is it that our society is dealing with globesity and diabetes, and it's rampant, and it's its own pandemic, right? So it's because we've lost track of the NEAT, the daily perpetual. We don't have to walk to the store. If we make a pie, we just go buy a pie. It doesn't take us 6 hours to make the pie from scratch like it used to. So we have all these things that are disrupting us. So Dr. A is saying that just by tapping your foot, like, let's say you guys are like, well, guess what? I'm in a meeting all day. What can I do? You can tap your foot while you're in the meeting, and then you can tap your other foot while you're in the meeting, and you can stand in the meeting and just say, I'm going to go stand on the back wall. I can't sit this whole time. Sitting is the new smoking. We've been talking about that. I love this one. How about a handbasket at the store? Or maybe 2, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm coming in the store to get a few things. Don't get a cart next time. Let's work on those biceps maybe by putting stuff in there, and maybe it'll help with some of the impulse buying that happens too, right? Because you're like, I can only get the necessities because I need to put them in this cart, and then I'm going to carry these around and I have to stand in line. So I'll switch it from one hand to the other, or I'll hold it with two hands in the middle, but I'm not going to get a cart unless I'm getting a bunch of groceries. Okay. So these are just little things. And what he's saying is, this is connecting to our little algebraic equation. If you could burn 200 calories a day by tapping your foot, standing in meetings, carrying the thing in the store, blow drying, your hair, hand mixing food. He gave us a bunch of things like, parking your car the furthest possible spot away from the store. And, what was the other thing I liked? Let's see, sorry. He said, hide the TV remote. That was good. And then making sure that you manually wash dishes occasionally. All of these things equal 200 calories a day in neat activity. So when we say become a neat freak, we're fighting for that, because do you see the impact on your TEE? What would your guys' TEE be if you decided to go from sedentary to 1.2? So you realize, like, if I take my weight and I multiply it by 11 and I go times 1.0, I get 1,364 calories a day versus my weight times 11 times 1.2, I get 1,636 a day. Okay. So this is where I can have 300 more calories a day. Not that I need to, because I'm learning how to be a functional eater and only eat when I need fuel, right? That's the goal here. And occasionally I'm eating for social. But what if I just decided, you know what, maybe I've been playing this game wrong the whole time, and I'm ignoring the fact that I needed to take more steps and stand and do things, because it does affect my metabolism, and it's not all genetics. Okay, with that whole blaming, like, well, no, a lot of it is the genetics could be that you come from a very sedentary family. That could be the actual genetics. It might not be genetics the way we think about it. It could be the habit science that's been in our family for years too. So it can really be disrupted with you. I want to open it up for questions, comments, clarifications, or even just anyone that's like, man, I've been working on this. For the next couple minutes, I'd like to hear from you guys, or from some of those of you that are in Nourished Fit, that are learning how to take your steps. Anybody, just, I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'd love for you to share. All right, you guys, don't all go at once. I'm having a hard
Hi, can you hear me, Rachel?
time. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Don't be shy. This is
Okay.
your healthy community.
Okay, it's Sherry. So I was just talking to a prospective client this week, and I said, this thing about everybody in my family has this, everybody in my family has that. And I said, I understand completely what you're saying. I used to think that way too, until I started to really look good into Dr. A's Habit of Health, because I thought high blood pressure ran in my family, because that's what my primary care doctor said. It's going to always be with me. That is not true. I said to this client, I said, because everyone in my family were making the same meals, then everyone in my family then had high blood pressure. So as we begin to practice healthy habits, and we are awakened to not shaking condiments until the ancestors say to stop, but to do the prescribed amounts according to the extended condiment list, then we can see that the fuelings, these prepackaged meals, that we have a tendency to think, I can't do prepackaged meals. So I said, I used to feel that way too, but I decided that I didn't want my body to host sickness and disease for the rest of my life. So I decided to be open and curious and get into the habits of health, this transformation system. So this hereditary thing, Rachel, when you did my health assessment about, what was it, about 18, 19 months ago, and you told me for 5'6", my healthy weight was 150, my mindset said, this Caucasian lady does not know what she's talking about. This is not true for an African American body. That faulty mindset was developed through what we have heard. And when I look at those in my family, in my community, everybody has the same health issues. So I decided that, you know what? I need to, if I don't do anything, nothing is going to change. So I'm going to put it back to you now.
So good and so true. Yeah, absolutely love that. I love that you're not blaming anything, that it's like, I think that's a big part of the life book. And it's hard sometimes because when clients stay out of the mindset work, sometimes they don't get that radical responsibility of going, you know what, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I love that about our program, that slowly we start dipping out of any blame or any shifting or shucking our respos, and we start just going, hey, I am the dominant force of what happens to my life, and I have to really be empowered to do that. Anybody else want to share anything? So
Rachel, I'll speak.
yes.
So just real quick, when I joined program, I was one of those 2 times a day at the gym, 2 hours a piece, killing myself working out, not seeing the weight go off or the weight shift. And when I talked with Kristen and Eric, and they were like, we're going to need you to not work out. I was like, what do you mean I can't work out? But a year later, 37 pounds gone. And I can attest that being in fat burn was the best thing for my body, because I just posted my page a couple of weeks ago. I did a military test in February, and I ran the mile and a half in 12:31. And within 8 weeks, not really working out, but just, little runs or little push-ups, sit-ups with the recruits and stuff, I ended up running my mile and a half in 11:45. So just to go show you that keeping, doing the little movements, knowing, when to move your TEE, knee, everything like that will improve your health, not even knowing that it's improving your health.
Yeah, so good. Me too. I freaked out. I'm a spin instructor and I was working at a gym and I'm like, what are you talking about? But it served me really well. And you know what, guys, we needed to learn the nutritional part of it, right? How awesome is it? Those of us that are back at the gym and we're in optimization and we're totally respecting meet plus eat. I do not have to do the amount of work that I had to do at the gym to see the results that I'm seeing, because my nutrition matches my output finally. And it's just so cool to just work hard, smart, not hard on these things. So I love that. Thank you, Kelly. I do want to announce one thing. I think it's Bodil. So sorry, let me make sure. Bodil, Bodil. Renblad, you won our $25 wellness credit this week for attending. And so you are our wellness winner for attending the book challenge. Every week we give away 25 bucks of wellness credits. And then every 4 weeks we give away $100 of wellness credits. And many, many people have been winning those. It's pretty cool. So we love that. I do also want to point out one thing before we close. Your NEAT and your sleep, they're partners. Okay. So we have a lot of clients that go, I don't sleep very well. And then we look at their step count and we're like, whoa, that's why. Like the body, look at Dr. A's chart on 376, where he's saying if we rise with the sun and we get our rooms nice and cool at night, we have a twilight routine, we get that sleep that's restorative, we naturally want to get up and move. If we move throughout the day, that wheel closes. Now we're naturally fatigued at bedtime. And now at bedtime, we're getting that more restful sleep that's allowing more fat burn. With more fat burn, we're losing a pound of fat. With every pound of fat, we take 4 pounds of pressure off our knees and our feet. Now we can walk. Do you guys see the flywheel that this is like? It's all interdependent. Health is integrated. This is the only program that I know of. And I've been in wellness for 10 years and I was in integrative health before this coaching, before I even knew about Optavia. This is the only integrative health coaching plan that I have ever seen at a price point like this. I've seen some that are like, wow, but this is all baked in for you guys. The supplementation, the coaching, the community. Look how we're getting better together. And I rather do it here than on my own. It was so boring on my own. So anyway, thank you for being a part of the call today. We're going to wrap up and let you guys have your Saturday. I'm excited. You know, this week, a challenge to you guys, drop in Nourished how you're applying what you learned today. Just be like, wow, this book challenge challenged me to be a neat freak. I'm not a neat freak. I need to become one. This is what I'm going to do this week to put feet on the knowledge so that you can step into more goals and see that you guys have a lot more control over your health than you've been led to believe. A lot more. So thank you for joining me today. Have a very good day, and we will talk to you guys all on Saturday. Congratulations to Bodil, and I hope I'm not butchering your name, my friend. But we'll talk soon.